Welcome to the channel. Thank you everyone for tuning in. On today's channel, I am not going to be reviewing the Christopher Ward C60 Sapphire. I'm actually going to be comparing it against Aliexpress watches. Christopher Ward have sent this out to me. Now, I didn't choose this one, but this is what they had to send to me. It is the C60 Sapphire. I really do like this watch. I've been looking at Christopher Ward watches for quite a while, and I think eventually I might have pulled the trigger on one. But as it stands, you know, I got one in. I got to wear it. I didn't bother doing an unboxing or anything like that. I just put it on wrist. Now, the reason I'm not going to review this watch is because there's loads of reviews on these watches. You know, they are well known. Most of the people in the watch game do know about Christopher Ward, especially if you're based in the UK. The watch does have some really awesome specifications and features. I won't go into all of them on video. I'll put them up on screen just for everyone's benefit. But some of the standout features, you've got like 600 meters of water resistance here. You've got a sapphire dial. Not only a sapphire crystal on the front, but you know, the dial in fact is made out of sapphire, which is awesome to see on the watch. It's slightly see-through or translucent, giving you a slightly skeletonized look as well. Another feature of this watch that I really love is of course that light catcher case. Absolutely stunning. Great transitions between brushing and polishing, really well finished, super smooth and slick. I love those crown guards. You know, really nice crown, very practical watch in hand. And in fact, they sent me the bracelet separate, and I haven't even put it on a bracelet. I've kept it on this sailcloth hybrid rubber strap, right? It's actually been really nice to wear. I think case diameter is 39 millimeters as well, so really good wearability, great dimensions. But I started thinking, you know, why don't I compare it to the Aliexpress watches? Because that was a question that I had in mind for such a long time. When I went from Seiko to these microband watches to like Aliexpress watches, I always thought, I wonder how different a, you know, respectable Swiss made watch would be. What I plan to do in this video, look at all the individual design elements, the individual specifications, and kind of compare them with, you know, a group of watches that I've got here. I mean, I've got Seig Flamma, which is, I can't remember which model, but it is homaging the 41mm Christopher Ward. I think it's a C61 maybe, or C65 I believe. And I've got Seestern here, I've got Proxima, I've got San Martin, Merca, another Seestern, Radune. I mean, whatever I had to hand, just to see how, you know, close they are, and is it possible to get that level of build quality and finish that you see on these entry-level Swiss-made watches. Or I will say a couple of things before I go into the video. You know, don't get me wrong, there are a couple of things or a couple of reasons why the Christopher Ward will be better than all of these, and that is down to one being actual warranty. You know, you do have a solid warranty with this brand. Aliexpress, I don't even talk about warranty. You've probably never heard me say on any of my reviews that this Aliexpress watch comes with 1 year or 2 years warranty, because frankly, sending it back to China, dealing with them is near enough impossible. Second thing, the water resistance rating, it is 600 meters certified. So, you know, you do have that peace of mind. Now, a lot of these can probably reach the water resistance rating stated on the dials or specifications, but, you know, it's not guaranteed. There's no stamp, there's no certification. While some may be tested, you know, you just can't really put your money on that. And that's another reason why you'll never hear me really talk about water resistance like it's a real thing on any other Aliexpress watches. That's something you just have to know and live with. And the last thing being more of a, you know, commercial aspect. Yes, we know Christopher Ward is a recognized brand, therefore it may hold some value, but still, these watches used, you can get them for around £500, so around $600 to $650. So a lot of waffling and rambling. Let's hopefully get started. So one of the things I want to start off by comparing is the dial. Now, yes, a sapphire dial. I haven't really seen that on Aliexpress. I think the closest thing we've seen is Zelos come out with a sapphire dial and a whole sapphire case, which was just blew my mind. But, you know, if you take the material aside, I don't think Aliexpress has done it because it's difficult to do. I think it's just cost. I think it'll be quite a bit expensive to make a dial out of sapphire. Now, what we do want to look at is though the printing, the hour markers, the lume, etc., the handset. You know, you've got a date frame on here, so all those kind of little features, you know, do they really stand that much apart from what we get on Aliexpress? Now, the handset used on this Christopher Ward, let me just zoom in slightly. You'll see it is beautifully done, very large and visible, even though it is a translucent dial. You've got a very large hour hand and some really nice finishing. You can just see that center brushing, chamfering and brushing along that tip with some polished sides, and same thing with these hands. Brush to the center, and you've got polished chamfer on either side. Incredible, you know, visibility, great light play as well, and you've got that slither of lume in the center. The second hand, you've got the trident on the counterweight, and of course you've got that red, or is that an off orange? No, it's a red on the second hand. Great proportions, great detail, as you can see in front of you. Now how different is that to the watches that we see on Aliexpress? In my honest opinion, not different at all. In fact, I've probably seen slightly better hands. If we say look at the St. Martin watches, let's bring in the MM300 Homage. You can see that top on the second hand, that top cap, that really nice finisher, and you can also see the same style of finishing on these handsets. You've got the linear brushing, the chamfered edges, which have been highly polished. So, you know, great level of quality. I've also said Heimdallr. I don't have many Heimdallr watches here. I think I've only got the Monster, but that doesn't have that feature on there. But going back to their handsets, their watches, again, really top quality handsets used. Let's bring you another one. For example, some of the nicer handsets that I've got here is the St. Martin Sumo Homage. Now, this exact handset is also available on Heimdallr, for example. And, you know, just look at the affordability difference. You know, those watches are under £150, but you still get some really well-made details. In terms of hour markers, indices, you know, again, the Christopher Ward isn't that much different. You do have a beveled edge towards the bottom, polished, and polished edges to those hour markers, perfectly applied and aligned. And that's one thing that Christopher Ward probably will be better at, is better QC and better alignment than what you'll see. I think a lot of brands from Aliexpress are more than capable of using really nice hour markers, really well machined, really well placed. You know, looking at, for example, the Merca, you know, all aligned, similar polished edges, perfectly placed. Let's bring you, for example, the Redune Captain Willard Homage, again, similar level. And of course, finally, that Seestern, you know, very nicely done. So they definitely have the capacity to do that. As for me, so far, you know, this isn't leaps and bounds, especially in comparative to the price that you can get from Aliexpress. Now let's check out that bezel. It is a coin edge bezel, some really nice detailing. Looking at that bezel insert, pardon that scratch, you've got some circular brushing, and you've got this debossing present or engraved sort of circle on the inside. The letters also are carved or engraved into that bezel insert. You've also got this marker from the 0 to the 15 minutes, which is actually lumed. I'll show you that, guys, a little bit later. So you've got this raised pip as well. So you've got this raised marker here, raised triangle in the center. A lot has happened to this bezel, a lot of machining, and just on the edge of that bezel insert, just look at that polishing, you know. Now in these videos, I like to show you these smaller details because that is what you see in real life, and it just adds to the overall quality. Now that's great. We do not see as of yet that level of detail present on a bezel insert. Again, goes down to labor and cost. But if you guys recall the Thorn Homage, that had very similar design, not exactly the same, but for me and the watches that I've looked at from Aliexpress, that had probably the most detailed bezel that I have seen to date. It was, you know, machined, engraved, it was really in line with the watch it was homaging, and I really did like that bezel insert. So again, they are capable, but they're probably held back by the price because, you know, we don't want to pay too much for them as well. Now, rotation. This is a 120 click bezel. Check her out. Nice resistance, not too much, not too less. Perfect alignment. Nice tactile feedback. Let's check the alignment. Perfect. But there is just a touch of play in the bezel. Very minute. You know, if I saw this any other watch, I wouldn't even care. I wouldn't bat an eyelid. But I'm showing you this because it is possible on these level of watches as well. So you can just see this, just slight bit of movement. Right? Perfectly acceptable in my eyes. And I think this is the point I try to get across to a lot of people, that there are acceptable tolerances. But unfortunately, and I've fallen into this trap many times, I tend to overly scrutinize, or we tend to overly scrutinize some of these Chinese budget watches. You know, in my older videos, I'm there roasting a Pagani design watch, which is 60 quid. And then I think to myself, what am I doing? You know, is there any need? So having said that, with this bezel, like I said, I don't really mind that touch there, but it's good. Is it something that is £800 good? Is it something that really does stand out and makes me just go, wow, oh my God? It doesn't. Watches that I have in front of me are more than capable of doing that. This is the Seig Flamma C65 Homage, I believe. Really nice bezel, but I'll bring this up for a different comparison on that watch. Let's look at that Seestern Doxa Homage. Very light, but still precise, you know, really well machined. Just look at some of those features present on this steel bezel. Quite a lot softer, but perfect. No play, zero movement. I've got my Proxima. Let's look at one of my more favorite bezels, the Merca. That's perfect bezel on that one. Again, look at that machining, very well done. Okay, let's give you some more just so I can prove my point here. That Redune, wow, like butter, very mechanical indeed. Now San Martin, of course, are really good with the bezels. I mean, this is just precision. Look at that. And this rotation feels much better than that of the Christopher Ward. And I'll be honest, I don't have an agenda. I'm trying to push Aliexpress watches. You know, at the end of the day, they gave me this for free. And I want them to give me more watches. You know, I don't want to just start slandering the Christopher Ward brand. But that's why at the start of the video I said there's some things which these watches cannot compete with Christopher Ward, which I mentioned earlier. But definitely very possible in terms of actual build quality, physically objective in your hand. Just look at the finish. Absolutely possible. Moving on to the case. Now this is where, you know, it's gonna get slightly more difficult because this is an exceptional case from Christopher Ward. Just have a look at that. In fact, I think they've patented the name, you know, light catcher. Look at this horizontal, super satinized finish. That polished edge along the side profile of the case, beautiful. Very clean transitions. Just look at that mirror-like finish. Straight brushing on those lugs, and you can look at this all day, right? It's called the light catcher for a very particular reason. Incredibly well machined, and I think that my favorite part is those crown guards, how they don't stick out too much and how they just round off. So you got these short crown guards, they slope down. Just have a look at that. Just look at that angle there, giving you perfect access to the crown, and your thumb kind of rolls off there. Polished surface, probably for a reason, obviously to give it some of that shine, but also make it a bit practical. So a very beautiful case, you'll agree, very beautiful. Now, while I haven't seen something that is exactly the same from AliExpress, let's bring you the Seig Flamma, which I said, you know, if I was comparing it to with the exact model, you'll see a very similar finish. Just have a look at that brushing. Let's give you guys a bit of a comparison here. Polished underside, that fine linear brushing across the side, and again that polished edge, very smooth brushing. Let's give you guys a bit of a comparison, just have a look at the two. Okay, so again, you know, considering the price, they are perfectly able to come out with this level of finishing. And you guys know better than me, look at the new San Martin watches coming out, right? I mean, the newer ones I've actually got rid of them all because I just have too many watches, but we've seen the level of finishing just really step up. They are, again, perfectly capable. It's back movement. Yes, you know, we are getting PT 5000 movements in there. Of course, are clones of the Swiss movements, but I think they're still a bit further away in terms of reliability. We do hear about a fair few issues, but, you know, you've got this open case back. You've got a bit of decoration, maybe some laser etching or some kind of printing method to put the Christopher Ward logo across that rotor. Really nice touch of personalization, and also like this smoked back. Looks good. And of course, actual 600 meters of water resistance. Case back, you know, there's nothing to really talk about. We can get same case back from anywhere. There's nothing really special or just specific to Christopher Ward on this. Looking at the crown, really nice crown, right? Really well thought out. You've got the, again, CW logo, but we see this type of logo on many other AliExpress watches. Really nice grip, very smooth on the screw out. Really nice winding motion, stop that movement. But I don't know if this is particular with the C60, but watch what happens here when I try to screw it in. like there's a notch it has to get past there. Once that, you know, get a little click, once that is in, then it screws down buttery smooth, which is similar to how the Seestern crowns work, as I already mentioned. So again, absolutely possible. But yeah, the only thing left now is for us to look at the bracelet, because the straps, very nice strap, very comfortable, but you know, straps, there's millions on Aliexpress which are good, bad, all sorts, depends how much you actually want to pay. Let me give you guys a comparison of the Lume, which is very interesting. Now, so check out the Lume you have in front of you. Okay, so a list of the watches. To my left, I've got the Seiko Samurai just in place for good measure as a bit of a benchmark. Now, to the right of that, I've got the Sumo Homage from St. Martin. Next to that, I've got my MM300 from St. Martin, and then I've got the Merca in hand. Now, let's see where the Christopher Ward stands. And to me, I find that quite shocking. Now, the way I've charged this watch up, I've charged up all the watches exactly the same. I've just left my UV lights, because I use those photo booth lights for my studio lighting here. And I've used them on the rest of the watches and just see how different they look. Very bright, very visible. And in comparison to this Christopher Ward, yeah, quite shocking, isn't it? Not a lot of lume coming out of the markers. You've got some on the hands, and that lume part of the bezel pretty much non-existent. So, benefit of the doubt, let's give them a bit of a charge using this UV lamp. And now these watches are supercharged, but let's give that to the Christopher Ward as well. So I gave that quite a bit of charge, and there you go, you can see it, you know, quite thin in comparison to a lot of the other watches that I've got in front of me. As you guys saw, not the brightest as well. So yeah, this is what you're gonna get. You know, maybe there are other models of Christopher Ward that have amazing lume, but you know, I've used that standard test for all of them, but this is what I've found. Now, after I have applied the UV lamp, but you can see it's already starting to fade slightly, and I've just been talking for like 20 seconds. And as you can see with this Christopher Ward, it isn't that strong in comparison to the watches that I have in front of you. I mean, the Seiko's still bright as anything, the St. Martin's, and of course the Merca still showing off. Now, I need everyone to understand that I'm not saying the Christopher Ward C60 is a rubbish watch. I'm saying it's an incredible watch, but we can easily get the same level, if not better, on slight aspects from AliExpress at a much cheaper price. So I did say about the bracelet, let's have a look. Freshly unpacked, and you can see just superior satinized brushing, very fine, gorgeous to look at. Milled clasp, of course, you know, just fold over clasp, 2 pushes on there. You do also have a ratchet extension. Let's make that work, and there we go. Now, where have we seen that style extension? We have, of course, seen it on the Zelos black tip, and maybe some others. So I could just show you that on here. And in fact, even when the Zelos came out, this black tip, I know scalpers, and because it discontinued, it's worth a bit more, but still, I picked this up for around £350. Still cheaper than Christopher Ward, correct? Clasp itself, nothing special. The finishing, while it's very smooth, very nicely done, nothing really special that we haven't seen on AliExpress. Bracelets is not a very strong point of AliExpress, I know that. You know, we have to bring in specific examples like the Seestern or the $100 Monster Homage is a more or less exact copy of the original bracelet. St. Martin, of course, they are the ones when it comes to the bracelet game. They have been improving the bracelets, and to the point I'd say they do have some of the best bracelets going. You know, initially in the models that I'm showing you there, they had some edginess, some sharpness, but let me bring in the St. Martin GS Diver Homage. Come on, that finishing is exquisite, luxurious. The clasp, gorgeous, very fine brushing, very smooth. I mean, they tried really hard on this bracelet, and it also has pin and collar connecting system, which is the same as the Christopher Ward. It doesn't have screw-in links, but we have seen St. Martin give us screw-in links. We've seen a couple of other brands do that. And what else am I missing? We've got the beads of rice from that Seestern. Try and look for that. that beads of rice bracelet. Again, that satinized brushing, you know, it's very easily done. It is present on a lot of other watches, so you know, minus screw-ins on here and just a different kind of clasp. But yeah, do you guys see my point? And you know, I'm kind of glad I've done this kind of video just to show you a difference. So it comes down to, why is there such a big price difference? Of course, it's that consumerism. And when I hear a lot of people talk on forums or on comments that, oh, it's Christopher Ward still, you do get a lot of consumerism coming towards you, you know. I think we're geared in the West to appreciate certain things and just to pay another £500 because of X, Y, and Z. I mean, we do know many aspects of this Christopher Ward were made in China. That's something that nobody can deny or hide. Yes, it is ultimately the brand and the warranty and the service that you get which makes this much more expensive, and the fact that it is recognized in the stores and it has just a bit more commercial validity, and whereas these don't. But San Martin's coming up, and if you look at this the way I've done this video, you know, when they brought this out, I agree this is too expensive for Aliexpress watch, but you know, the design issues aside, that finishing and that quality present, you'd be paying a lot more if it was a branded watch, right? It's just about how much, you know, value you give to the watches yourself. But amongst the watches I've got here, these are some of my favorites that I absolutely love, and that's my review. Hopefully you guys liked it, you guys got the concept and you guys appreciated it. But you know, I'm still gonna keep wearing this until I have to give it back because I thoroughly enjoy wearing it. You know, the design, the dimensions, the overall looks, how it wears is just absolutely beautiful. It's actually been a joy to wear. Really nice tool watch with some really nice detailing, top level manufacturing and quality, of course, but it's not different from all the Aliexpress stuff that I have, in all honesty. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed that video. Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section. Triggered the watch snobs, please let me know your thoughts in the comment section as well, and I'll see everybody on the next video. Thank you all.